16th, 2017. My name is Bill McCamley. I'm a state representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla here in New Mexico with your legislative update for the day. So I want to start this by talking about the border. So since 2005, when I was a county commissioner, I've worked on expanding the port we have with Mexico here in New Mexico at Santa Teresa, which is in the south part of Doña Ana County. And it's really important because our economy has done so terrible for the last 10 years, but we've done three things right. Our film industry's been good, tourism, which is kind of linked to film, has also been a positive, and border trade has been one of the things that we can rely on to create jobs. There are about $3.6 billion of exports here in the state, about $1.5 billion go to Mexico. All those together employ about 15,000 people statewide, and so if we want to increase our job base and get away from just relying on the federal government and the oil and gas sector, we've got to build on the things that we do right, and trade with Mexico has been one of those things. So I went with the Border Industrial Association as well as Representative Angelica Rubio and Nathan Small out to Nogales and Tucson, Arizona to meet with their Port Authority and representatives from their local and state governments to talk about what they're doing right. And we came out with three takeaways. The first is you got to make sure that your new governor coming in is really willing to take this seriously. Ours arguably really hasn't done a good job of taking that seriously over the past 70 years. But in Arizona, they had a governor named Jan Brewer who, if you'll remember a couple years ago, signed a very controversial law called Show Us Your Papers. They didn't really want Mexicans coming in. The new governor, this guy named Ducey, has done a 180 on that and has really said, we want business with Mexico, we want Mexicans coming in. All of his cabinet officials have to go down there and really take trade seriously because it creates jobs. So hopefully we can work with a new governor to do that. The second thing is we got to get the private sector involved. They've been able to do that in a number of different ways, and what that's done is two things. Number one, it gets expertise. Businesses know what they need to create jobs, and so the government's got to work with them to make that happen. The other thing it does is it has stability. So a lot of these folks have been in there for 10, 20 years. They know the communities, they know the situations, and they're willing to work long-term to get long-term projects done. So how do we do that in New Mexico without giving up too much authority of the taxpayer is going to be something we have to talk about. The third thing that they've done is really work with their federal government to spend their resources the right way. They just have a $220 million facility open a few years ago that's on the border with the Customs Department under Homeland Security to really facilitate good security at the border as well as increasing jobs, getting trade flowing back and forth. Now, they have inland border checkpoints like we do that are 20 or 30 miles from the border, but they're completely temporary facilities. I mean, the one we saw was like the folding chairs and porta potties. Here in New Mexico, we've done the opposite, right? So we have these huge, massive brick and mortar inland border checkpoints that don't really do anything. Well, they do nothing to create jobs, and it's arguable how effective they are in security. But our on-the-border presence with the Customs Office is very small and limited. So we've got to try to figure out how to reverse that and be more like Arizona. And that's what we're going to try to do, and the reason you should really worry about this is because we need more jobs. We need to diversify our tax base away from these things so that we can fund our schools and our social workers and all the other things we do consistently. The second thing I want to say today isn't really a legislative update. It's just I was furious yesterday at the president when he said there's some nice people at that Charlottesville event. They were all Nazis. They were all chanting, "Jews will not replace us in blood and soil." And I have a message for all the neo-Nazis and KKK members out there. I'm a big, bearded, bald white dude, and I could probably fit into your rallies without any sort of real issues. I look like you. You don't speak for me. I've got family that is black and Muslim. Some of my best friends in the world are Jewish. Your ideology ends with them being eradicated, put in concentration camps, and killed. And so I will fight you. I won't do it with fists or bats or guns, but if you show up here, I'll be there. I'll make my voice heard, and I will fight you with my legislative vote. I don't like bullies, and that's what your ideology is. You're a bunch of bullies. Elie Wiesel, who is a Jewish death camp survivor, came here to New Mexico State when I was in college and spoke, and he has a great quote. The opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference. And so I've seen you in our community. I know that you're here in state. I know that you're in my town. I've seen you on Facebook, and I will not shut up about this. I will fight you, and you will lose. So that's that. Feel pretty strongly about that. And hope everyone has a really good day. As always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns on these or any other issues, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.